If you're over 60, these 14 days may have already changed the rest of your life, whether you realize it or not. As a vascular surgeon, I need to say something I don't often get to say in the operating room. I'm proud of you, and I wish I didn't have to meet so many people after things had already gone too far. After the ulcers, the infections, the bypasses, the amputations. Because truth be told, most of those cases could have been delayed. Some even avoided entirely. If they had done what you've just done for the past 2 weeks. I've opened arteries that were stiff like frozen pipes. I've replaced veins that collapsed under years of pressure and stillness. But I've also seen something else, something more powerful than a scalpel. Movement, done consistently, done consciously, done early. These last 14 days weren't about fitness, they were about circulation. You weren't just following exercises, you were restoring function, protecting the infrastructure of your independence, and yet so many still don't see it that way. They say it's just swelling, it's just stiffness, it's just aging. But you said something different. You said, maybe there's more I can do. You said, I'll try. You said, I'll come back tomorrow. And you did, day after day. You didn't need a gym. You didn't need fancy gear. You just needed a reason. Maybe it was to walk without fear. Maybe it was to stop depending on a cane. Maybe it was to hold your grandchild without help. Whatever your reason was, you found it. And you're here. That alone puts you ahead of most people your age. Let me ask you something. Do you remember how your legs felt on day one? The heaviness, the tightness in your calves, the way your shoes felt snug by evening. Maybe even that anxious thought, will this ever get better? And now, just 2 weeks later, how do you feel? Even if your progress has been slow, the fact that you've noticed change is proof that your body is still responsive, still working with you, still trying. And that's no small thing. According to the National Institute on Aging, even light physical activity, done consistently, can improve circulation, balance, and confidence in as little as 10 to 14 days. These aren't just theories, they're facts backed by research. But facts aren't what kept you going. What kept you going was something deeper. Maybe it was that moment when you stood up without groaning, or when you looked down at your legs and saw less swelling, or when your child said, "You're walking better, Mom." These small victories, they matter. They are the bricks in the foundation of your long-term independence. And just in case no one else has said it yet today, I see your effort. I respect your discipline. I believe in what you started. Now, before we move on, I want to invite you to do something meaningful. Leave a comment below. Tell me your first name, how old you are, and where you're watching this from. Don't underestimate it. When you write it down, when others see it, it becomes real. It becomes a part of something bigger. Because you're not just a viewer. You're part of a generation that chose differently. You chose not to surrender to stiffness. You chose not to accept decline as your destiny. You chose to move. And that choice, it may very well change everything. But as powerful as these 14 days have been, I need to tell you something important. Something most people get wrong after this point. Over the last 14 days, something very real has been happening inside your body. Not dramatic, not flashy, but profound. Your veins have been working differently. Your muscles have been communicating better with your heart. Your nervous system has started to trust movement again. Most people think aging happens suddenly, but as a surgeon, I can tell you, aging happens quietly, one skipped movement at a time. And reversal, it begins the same way. During these 2 weeks, every ankle pump, every calf contraction, every slow and deliberate breath you took sent a message upstream, back toward your heart. That message said, I still need this pathway. When the calf muscles contract, they compress the deep veins of the lower leg. This action, often called the muscle pump, helps push blood upward against gravity. In younger bodies, vein valves do most of the work. But after 60, those valves weaken. They leak. Blood pools. What you've been doing is compensating for that loss, naturally. Harvard Health Publishing has shown that consistent lower leg movement improves venous return and reduces dependent edema in older adults. The effect isn't immediate, but it is cumulative. Day by day, pressure decreases, fluid redistributes, oxygen delivery improves. That's why some of you noticed your shoes fitting better. That's why your legs felt lighter in the morning. That's why standing up didn't feel as intimidating. You weren't imagining it. According to the British Journal of Sports Medicine, adults over 60 who maintain light daily movement have a significantly lower risk of losing independent walking ability over the next 5 years. Not because they're stronger, but because their circulation stays responsive. And responsiveness is everything. Let me be very clear about something. These 14 days did not make you immune to aging, but they reminded your body how to respond to it. That's a critical difference. In medicine, we talk about something called use it or lose it, but I prefer a more accurate phrase. Use it or it forgets you ever needed it. Your blood vessels, your balance systems, your muscles, they are adaptive. They grow quieter when ignored. But when you call on them regularly, even gently, they wake up. This is why I'm careful with praise at this stage. Yes, you've done something meaningful. Yes, you've earned confidence. But here's the honest truth most programs won't tell you. The most dangerous moment is right after early success. It's when people say, I feel better now. I can slow down. It's when routines loosen. Days are skipped. Momentum fades. And the body? The body follows your lead. This doesn't mean you need to work harder. It means you need to stay consistent. Think of these 14 days as laying a foundation. You didn't build the house yet, but the ground is now stable, and stability is what allows everything else to stand. Before we go further, I want you to pause for a moment and recognize something. You showed up for yourself. You honored your future. You proved that your age does not disqualify you from progress. That matters. But what happens next matters even more. Because the choice you make after today determines whether these 14 days become a temporary improvement or a permanent turning point. And that's what we need to talk about next. Let me tell you something from experience. The body doesn't forget how to decline. It only pauses while you keep moving. That's why stopping now, right when your system is waking up, is the most dangerous thing you can do. Think of what you've done so far as planting a seed. The soil has been turned. The roots are just beginning to spread. But if you stop watering now, nothing grows. And that's the truth I need you to carry forward. It's not intensity that builds long-term health. It's consistency. You don't need to add more pain, more sweat, or more strain. What you need is to keep showing up, just like you have. Let me offer you something that might help. If you haven't already, hit the subscribe button. That's not just about numbers or algorithms. It's about keeping the rhythm alive. Because what comes next is where the real transformation happens. In our upcoming videos, we'll be introducing specialized routines for people with joint pain, adjustments for those with diabetes or neuropathy, breathing and mobility work for heart health and blood pressure control. And for those of you who've already made it this far, you'll be ahead of the curve. You'll understand why we do what we do, and you'll be doing it from a place of strength, not desperation. But there's something even more powerful than new exercises. It's community. When you leave a comment, when you join others who are walking this same path, you're building a layer of accountability that research shows is more effective than personal motivation alone. According to the Journal of Aging and Health, older adults who participate in health-focused peer communities have 42% higher long-term adherence to exercise programs. Not because they're more disciplined, but because they're connected. So if you haven't done it yet, introduce yourself. Tell us your name, your city, your age. Let others know, I'm here. I'm still walking. I'm still choosing health. Because here's what I want you to understand. You didn't just complete a 14-day program. You built momentum. You built a pattern. You built a promise, not just for today, but for every day that comes next. You've started something that doesn't end with a check mark. It continues in your morning routine, in your walk to the mailbox, in the stairs you now take without fear, but only if you keep going. So let me ask you, gently but directly, will you let these 14 days fade into memory? Or will you turn them into something bigger? The choice is yours. And in just a moment, I want to help you make that choice with clarity and conviction. Because this isn't just about movement anymore. It's about your legacy. Let's talk about legacy. Not money, not property, but something more precious and far more lasting. Mobility, dignity, independence. These are the gifts most people don't think about until they start slipping away. But you've chosen to protect them before it's too late. And for that, you should be proud. Today, I want to invite you to make one final commitment, not to me, not to this channel, but to yourself and to the people who love you. Take a deep breath, and in your heart, repeat this with me. I commit to walking into my later years, not being carried. I commit to movement as medicine. I commit to turning effort into legacy. That is your promise, and here's mine. I will keep showing up for you with more tools, more answers, more support. Not to replace your doctor, but to help you stay out of the hospital. Not to chase youth, but to protect the strength you still have. Because this isn't the end of your journey. This is the beginning of your ownership over it. Your health doesn't belong to the past anymore. It belongs to you, and if you ever doubt whether it's worth continuing, just think of the moments ahead, the walks with your spouse, the hugs from your grandchildren, the quiet pride in knowing you're still standing strong. That is the power of what you've started. Now let's make it permanent. Make sure you're subscribed, not just to this channel, but to your own future. Join our community, comment, show up, not because you have to, but because you deserve to. And if you ever wonder what's next, we have an entire new series coming soon, designed to go deeper. How to lower your vascular age, how to walk safely with arthritis, how to combine nutrition plus movement for cleaner arteries. This next step is about refinement, not reinvention. You already have the foundation. Now we build the house. So take that final look back, not in regret, but in gratitude. You've come far. You've chosen well. Now choose to keep going. And as always, help me stay out of work, stay on your feet, and never let aging walk faster than you do. We're just getting started.